If anyone doesn't get up right away, I'm going to call on Commissioner Kirkmeyer, who, again, we thank very much for representing all of us so well. And no, we'll open it back up to the public. Maybe your comments will generate some discussion. But we each gave a small opening about how we ended up in this place. Maybe if you have anything you'd like to say.
Sure. All right.
Uh-oh, big mic's coming in.
So, good evening. I'm Barb Kirkmeyer, Weld County Commissioner, and I'm actually the County Commissioner from District 3, which Fort Lupton is within District 3, and I see many folks here in the audience that I know, so I'm so glad you're here. A little bit on my background, because it sounds like everybody kind of gave some background here. I really appreciate the comments that folks said about Colorado and about how much you feel about Colorado. I mean, our hearts are in Colorado. I'm a fourth generation Coloradoan. I live about 10 miles just west of here. Grew up in Jefferson County on a dairy farm. I have 2 grandchildren who live at the old Wattenberg farm. They're the 6th generation. And in fact, I'm a 4th generation Weld County. My great-grandmother was born and raised here in this county. So it means a lot to us. And we didn't come upon this decision about having this discussion about a 51st state it wasn't lightly. We thought about it, and we heard from a lot of folks. And for me, it started, over the last 2 or 3 years, just that frustration that kept building. But last year, I think the frustration just really came to a point, and it had to do with the drought. Weld County is the largest agricultural producing county in the state of Colorado. 1/4 of the agricultural production for the state of Colorado right here in this county. Last year, the Weld County Commissioners declared a drought. We asked the governor to declare a drought. We heard about the water and the pumping and the wells. Several folks are aware of what happened, with the wells being shut off. We know that the wells got shut off. In the last few years, our groundwater has come up to where now we have basements that are flooding and crop that are dying in the field. So we declare a drought. We ask our governor to declare a drought with us and allow us to turn those wells on, because we're like, you know what, that groundwater table is up. We know it is. I mean, this is common sense. This is coming from folks who farm the land for generations. We know it. You're allowing wells to be drilled downriver. How about we let the wells here be turned on so that we keep the crops in the field growing? And we asked him, what's the difference between allowing these wells to pump from this underground reservoir here for a drought, which is a statewide emergency, versus taking the water out of a high mountain reservoir, the same water, to put out a fire? And he couldn't answer that question. And the Attorney General couldn't answer that question, but he did tell us no, he wouldn't declare a drought and wouldn't allow us to turn on the water wells. That's when I think the disconnect for me really started coming to a point. I think our agriculture community felt that it was coming to a point as well. They clearly didn't understand the importance of agriculture in this county, the importance of agriculture in the state of Colorado, and they wouldn't turn the wells on. I just think that's ridiculous and lacked common sense, and definitely showed a disconnect. As a county commissioner, I was a county commissioner from 1993 through 2000. Got reelected and took office again in 2009, so I've been a county commissioner again for now. I'm on my 2nd tour for about the last 4.5 years. There are a lot of mandates that come out. And this last year, with all the firearm stuff, and folks are like, they want to tout this as a Republican versus Democrat deal. It's not. I just heard from Carl Miller, who used to be a Lake County commissioner, who was a state representative, who talked about the disconnect between urban and rural. The whole firearm legislation to me is a disconnect between urban and rural. And they just kept building it up. And we set, and I know y'all know, we passed resolutions with regard to the Second Amendment and how we felt about the firearms legislation that was being passed. There are 55 of the 62 elected sheriffs who are challenging those laws constitutionally. But I will tell you, in our own chambers, we had folks who came to us, and we received a lot of emails, not just from you, but from a lot of folks who wanted us to do something. They thought we could void out the state laws. They were holding the Board of County Commissioners in Weld County, at least our citizens were, accountable for what was going on down in Denver. Again, I think there's a huge disconnect. The number of mandates that we receive. You talked about emissions. Well, how about nutrient levels? How about drainage regulations, floodplain regulations? I talked about the drought. Many of you know how I got started running for county commissioner. It's because more than 40% of the trash, and I mean trash, from the Denver metro area comes to our county. And we get more regulations, and they're trash. There's a disconnect. They take advantage of rural Colorado. We talked about oil and gas. Yes. You heard Commissioner Rademacher say that we are supportive of the oil and gas industry. It is a huge industry in the state of Colorado, and it is a huge industry for Weld County. We do so, though, in a very responsible manner. This board supported disclosure rules on the fracking fluid. This board supported groundwater monitoring. We put in place our own groundwater monitoring for anyone who has a well in Weld County, and we'll do it for free. We supported Rule 318 revisions to it, which require waste handling plans for the oil and gas operators. We supported them putting those catalytic converters on their wells and supported them cleaning up the air. And they did it. They're very responsible. Are they perfect? No. Is the agricultural industry perfect? No. The same complaints that the oil and gas industry has received, I'm telling you, as a dairy farmer in this county for 15 years, and I still own farms, we get those complaints. Dust, noise, you're ruining my groundwater, I'm waking up in the morning because you're having planes fly over and putting stuff all over us. I mean, think about the complaints we get. You know, so it's the same complaints that the oil and gas industry gets. I got asked last week, am I afraid of where I live? And I live, as I told you, about 10, 12 miles directly west of here. And I have oil and gas wells all around me. In fact, one of them is named the Barbara Jean Kirkmeyer oil and gas well because that's what I did. I'm going to go take a picture of it. Am I afraid where I live? No. No. Do I think hydraulic fracturing, which has been around for over 60 years, is contaminating our groundwater? No. Not only do I not think it is, I know it's not because, you know what, the EPA says it's not.
And just recently, the Department of Energy.
And the Department of Energy says it's not. And our own Colorado Oil and Gas Conservation Commission says it's not. So I'm willing to believe them. And I've lived in this area now for over 30 years. My water comes from the Laramie Fox Hill Aquifer, and I'm surrounded by oil and gas wells, thinking I'm okay. So the other thing is, so we believe there's an attack on oil and gas. We believe at least I do, I believe there's an attack on agriculture. I don't think those folks who are making laws down in Denver understand any of it. I think the attack on oil and gas is also an attack on our property rights. We've got legislators who want to put in huge setback rules, and you heard the gentleman get up earlier and ask me the question about who has which right. We have to accommodate their right under the ground. And so if the legislators who don't know anything really about oil and gas want to pass a law that requires a 1,000-foot setback or a 2,000-foot setback, that is taking my property. That's my property on the surface. That's not affecting the oil and gas industry. That is now taking my property as a surface owner. I think that's a huge disconnect. And to put it in perspective for you, in Weld County, last year there was 1,822 well permits drawn. And we have worked very diligently to work with the oil and gas industry and the agricultural industry and the home building industry to make sure that everybody can get along and coexist. In Boulder County, 22 permits. In Larimer County, 11. These are the legislators that want to pass rules and regulations and laws for us. They don't get it, they don't understand it, they want to pass rules and regulations. Commissioner Rademacher and some of the others talked about the oil and gas and the importance of it to our School Finance Act. Mm-hmm. Here's what goes on in Weld County, because we speak with our school district quite regularly and try and work with them on road projects quite regularly. And we were out at Southeast Weld Central, yep. And they have an issue with the road out there, and Commissioner Conway and I are out there talking to them, and I'm like, why don't you use the revenues that you're getting, because the assessed value is going up in Weld County. When the assessed value goes up because of oil and gas in this county, their public school finance funding goes down. It's a whammy. It's like a double whammy to them. So we're doing really well here with oil and gas, and their finance per pupil funding goes down. That's the way the School Finance Act works. Do you think they're going to change that at the Capitol? I don't think so. And to me, the final straw here really was, and it's been said several times, I'm sure, was Senate Bill 252, where they required the additional percentage on the renewables for rural Colorado. And the legislator who carried that bill exempted himself out because he lives in El Paso County and Colorado Springs, and municipal utilities were exempted out. I think that's atrocious. So we talk about changing elections and changing legislators. Believe me, we're all elected. We go vote. I'm pretty sure most people in this room probably go vote. The folks in our area are fine. I don't get to vote for the ones in those other areas. So I think there are some things that need to be done. I think it was probably discussed that the 51st state is an idea, and yes, I think we should move forward with it because I think it raises the discussion, raises that level of discussion, and gets those points out. And that's the only way we're going to get it done, is to be boisterous. I'm looking for the woman who said that. You're exactly right. We need to continue doing that. Is it a long shot? Sure. But you know what? My grandparents were pioneers. My great-grandparents were pioneers. I'm all for being a pioneer and at least giving it a shot. And I think the other idea with regard to looking at the equality with regard to the representation at the state capitol is another good idea that came forward from Phillips County, and I'm willing to pursue it as well. So that's where I'm at.
Very good.
Thank you.